Hello and welcome to the OriginMD channel. In this video we're going to cover the Gruul Dinosaurs ramp, and our main goal is to ramp up into our bigger threats. So for that we have Thunderherd Migration and cards like Otepec Huntmaster that enable us to cast our dinos faster. We must disrupt our opponent's plan by using Magma Spray to exile pesky creatures that can come back from the graveyard, and by using something like Lightning Strike. We want to use some mini combinations in our deck, like the Forerunner of the Empire, and dealing damage to cards like Needletooth Raptor to get rid of our opponent's threats. And finally we want to cast out our finishers that are able to end the game quite quickly and effectively against different archetypes. I will upload how I think the deck should look like if I had all the wild cards, so it will be in the description below. Now let's discuss each card in more detail. Magma Sprays have already been covered. It is quite a useful card if you want to stem the aggro or to play some tempo. And if you want to exile some creatures, such as the Scarab God, such as the Champion of Wits, and the like. Commune with Dinosaurs is a nice little card that allows you to look at the top 5 cards and either get a dinosaur or to get a land. And if you are short on cards like Thunderherd Migration, then this is a nice replacement you can take. Otepec Huntmaster is one of our ramp cards, because our dinosaurs cost 1 less, and we can also grant them haste. So if we get something like a Tally and cast him and granted haste, then this can be quite effective. Draw of the Mighty is another ramp spell, but in my testing right now everybody plays some sort of removal that deals 1 or more damage, so Draw of the Mighty usually doesn't survive for too long. Anyhow, it's still better if our opponent is going to spend some time on removing it, so one of them is included. Merfolk Branch Walker is essentially an explorer that allows us to either draw some cards or to be more aggressive against some control builds, because this at best can be at 3/2, and if we draw an additional land card, that's also quite good for our plan overall. Abrade deals 3 damage to a creature or destroys an artifact. Right now there aren't many artifacts that are extremely difficult and usually played in the meta. However, if we have let's say decks that have a gift or something like a treasure map, then Abrade can be used. But usually the first mode to deal 3 damage to the creature is more useful for us. Lightning Strike deals 3 damage to any target. That includes the player himself and the planeswalkers. This can also serve as a finisher burn. So overall, quite a nice card for us. If you want to spend heavily with your wildcards, then even 4 Lightning Strikes is not a bad choice, because it goes into many other decks as well. Thunderherd Migration is something I got from my individual card rewards, and essentially it's one of the best cards that you can play on your turn 2 in such a deck, because this allows you to ramp at the cost of showing one of the dinosaurs, and we have plenty of them in our deck. However, as the game goes on, it doesn't become such a good choice. However, running for them is usually fine, because the game is more or less decided in the first 5 or 6 turns most of the time with this kind of deck. Combat Celebrant is something I have included as a test. When you exert it, then when it attacks, then you have another attack phase and you untap all your creatures. So far I haven't been able to really make the most of it, but we're going to see if it works. The Raging Raptors are a nice card that allows you to draw a land card from your library so that is quite useful if you want to ramp even more. It's also quite a nice attacker and blocker if you are playing against aggressive creatures, because even if it dies from damage, then you still get some significant value out of it. And overall, it plays really well with cards such as Savage Stomp, which essentially are cast for 1 mana most of the time, because you have so many dinosaurs available. You put a 1/1 counter on a creature and you fight another creature your opponent controls. In the case of Ranging Raptors, for example, the Ranging Raptors become 3/4, and that is quite good to take out most of the other cards that see play in the early turns. Wayward Swortooth is also something I would not recommend crafting, however I got them from individual card rewards, so I decided why not include it. Essentially, it's a 5/5 that allows you to play an additional land card on each of your turn, but it cannot attack or block unless you have the City's Blessing. In other words, you must have 10 permanents, including the lands, and our deck, as a ramp deck, is actually able to play out quite a few permanents early. And at the very worst case scenario, you're usually able to use something like Savage Stomp on the Wayward Swortooth and use it as a removal. Thrashing Brontodon is a nice little uncommon. It's a 3/4 for 3 mana, which is not bad at all, and for 1 and sacrificing it, you can destroy an artifact or an enchantment. And this is important because some cards like Excellence Binding, Cast Out, and other enchantments can be destroyed by Thrashing Brontodon, so this is also an uncommon that you might want to craft 2 or 3 of and include in your dinosaur deck if the enchantments are played in the meta. Next up we have the Forerunner. Forerunner is able to search your library for a dinosaur of your choice. In our case, it depends on what the situation is. If we want to ramp really fast, we might consider getting Ranging Raptors. If we are playing against control, we definitely want our Carnage Tyrant, especially if we have the mana for it. If we are playing against some decks that require us to just go next turn and clear the board out, we might consider a Raging Swortooth that deals 1 damage to each other creature, because our Forerunner, when a dinosaur enters the battlefield, can deal 1 additional damage. So comboing it out with the Raging Swortooth, this can deal 2 damage to all the creatures on the board. And overall 1/3 is usually just decent enough to stamp some of the aggro decks, especially if we were able to ramp out on turn 2. So overall, I've been happy with the performance of the Forerunner of the Empire in the deck. Needletooth Raptors are an interesting card. Whenever they are dealt damage, it deals 5 damage to another creature an opponent controls. So it synergizes quite well with some of our other cards, like the Forerunner we have seen just now, the Raging Swortooth, or something like a Savage Stomp. And overall we usually get some decent value, so even though it's a 2/2 for 4 mana, this ability to act as a removal is actually makes it decent enough to run in our list. Vizier of the Menagerie allows us to look at our card, top card in our library at all the times, and it's really good for the ramp deck, because this way we can cast the creature cards and essentially thin out our deck. And usually we do have enough mana to cast them. And I would say that its last ability is not really that relevant in our deck, since usually by the time we cast it out, we already have enough mana and the colors we need. Additionally, it's 3/4 for 4 mana, which is not too shabby, because it dodges some of the most common removal that deals 3 damage. Now to our more explosive threats. Charging Monstrosaur is a 5/5 trample with haste, and I don't see it played that much, so I think it's quite good for our deck. It applies some decent pressure, and there aren't that many cards that can take a 5/5 trample haste dinosaur and deal with it effectively. And of course this might surprise your opponent, so this just might be able to win you the game. A Glorybringer is also something I've opened from an ECR, and I've also been quite happy because it has flying and haste, and if you exert it, it can act as removal. So overall it's just decent value because you're able to ramp into it effectively, and when it starts flying and dealing damage to your opponent, it can get out of hand pretty fast. I've already talked a little bit about the Raging Swortooth. Essentially against any aggressive decks, this is a card that might be able to win you the game against them. So against vampires, red deck wins, this is the sort of card that you would want to play on turn 4 with the ramp. Now to our most explosive threats. Our most explosive threat most likely is a Carnage Tyrant, because it cannot be countered. It has trample and hexproof, so it cannot be the target of our opponent's spells and abilities. The only cards that can really deal with Carnage Tyrant are cards with Death Touch, cards like Vizier, the blue Vizier that copies the Carnage Tyrant, and some cards like Doomfall that either get the Carnage Tyrant and make you discard it from your hand, or they make you sacrifice it. So other than that, usually this is really difficult for control to deal with. Etali Primal Storm, when it attacks, exiles the top card of each player's library, and you can cast them, any of them, without their mana cost. So that means you can exile some pretty interesting cards from your opponent's deck, and the other cards in your deck are synergistic with the rest, with the ramp you have. So it's definitely a good card if you are able to attack with it. So usually you would want your opponent to waste most of your removal for everything that comes before it, and then to slam it down and attack, preferably with haste using the Huntmaster. However, it requires certain settings to play it out well. Finally, the Burning Suns Avatar is a card that was included in the starter deck. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to an opponent or a planeswalker and 3 damage to a creature. So overall for 6 mana it's alright. And although it costs 3 red as well, usually I found this not to be a problem in our ramp deck, because we search for our cards quite a lot, for our land cards quite a lot. In terms of the land and mana base, we have 8 mountains, 8 forests. I've included 2 Deserts of the Indomitable to act as a cycling card, or to add the green mana to our mana pool. I have 2 Hashep Oasis, mainly for its last ability to have a creature get +3/+3 until the end of turn. The only caveat is that it can only be cast as a sorcery. And this can really synergize well with something like a Raging Swortooth, because it has trample. When an 8/8 trample creature is coming your way, you know things are getting a bit dicey. I have 2 Timber Gorges that come into play tapped, and finally 2 Evolving Wilds that are also able to search your land for search your library for a land card. That being said, let's get into some games. Okay, what do we have here? 3 lands. We are going first. We've got removal, but we don't really have a ramp. But let's keep this hand and see if we can draw into something relevant. Start off with the forest. Wait for our opponent to play something, and these are going to be Merfolk. Okay, that works for us. Let's let our opponent do his thing. See if he's going to have any sort of enchantment. Alright. A Mistbinder means that it's probably best to just remove it with a lightning strike straight away. One of the prime targets. We've got enough forests, so let's go ahead and play out an Evolving Wilds. And we're going to grab another mountain. Okay, Shapers of Nature. Not the most efficient card, but at least our opponent is playing a deck that I haven't seen a lot in this patch. Alright, and Abrade is quite good. Let's go ahead and play out the Vizier. And hope that he doesn't have anything that can deal with it. We were able to really lower his tempo, so he might have a spell that buffs the Shapers of Nature, so I'm actually not going to block. I'm still at 18 life, and that means that I can still take some beating here. Alright. Let's see which Merfolk our opponent is going to get and put on the top of his library. It is likely that this is going to be another Mistbinder, but we'll see. If it is a Mistbinder, then we'll have to save our Abrade for him. Okay, here it comes. So we've got 5 mana. We can go for a Raging Swortooth, since our next card is going to be a forest. This way we can get rid of the Mistcloak Herald, and we can prevent some of the damage that is coming our way. So we are not going to be attacking. We're just going to play the waiting game. Okay. Plays out the Mistbinder. I'm pretty sure I can still trade here, because our opponent only has 2 cards now, so question is, do we trade with the Shapers or do we trade with the Heralds? Let's try and trade like this. Will we see the boon, the Deepwater boon? Alright, instead it's going to be a dive down. Okay, this also works. We are down to 10. And we have our Burning Sands avatar that we can cast with the Vizier. So that's exactly what we are going to do. We are going to get rid of the Mistbinder. Alright. We won't be able to get rid of the Mistbinder. So now our opponent has just 1 card left. Question is, what is it? Is it a land, or is it another boon or something else? That is the question. That is the real question. Okay. We cannot afford to take too much damage. Puts a counter and trades. Okay, we are unlucky and we don't have a creature that we can play out like this. So we're just going to hardcast our Tally. Right, a Branch Walker for the opponent. Gets himself a forest. And does he play out the last card that he has in his hand? Okay, let's play out the forest. Play out the Branch Walker. Yes, please. We need the Raging Swortooth, and we would have won by slowly gaining the advantage. Okay, we are going first. We've got 3 lands and a Thunderherd Migration, so let's keep this hand. Play out the Timber Gorge, see what our opponent is up to. Alright. Interesting choice. Let's go ahead and play an Evolving Wilds right now. Then wait for our opponent to cast something else. Alright. Let's crack the Evolving Wilds. Let's get a mountain. Now let's play out the Oasis and go for the Thunderherd Migration. And I think we can just pay 1 as well, since we don't really have anything for 1 mana. Oh, he does have a sensor. Okay, that's fine as well. We've got 5 lands right now still. Has an Enigma Drake, okay. So let's go ahead and use the Commune. A tally of Raging Raptors. I think the tally is still nicer. Let's say go. Our opponent is on the Fling a Drake plan, so let's wait for him to attack. Let's see if he casts anything else. No, he doesn't. Okay. So we've got 4 mana. Let's see if he counters the Needletooth Raptor. If he does, it's possible to live. Well, we can go for the Savage Stomp, but I think I'm going to wait until the next turn. Our opponent didn't counter it, and if he has some damage spells, then we're just going to remove the Enigma Drake in response. So for now, taking 1 damage is completely fine. Let's go ahead and attack and cast out the Raging Swortooth. Let's see if it will get counted. It will, with an Essence Scatter. So, do we go for the Savage Stomp? Yeah, I think we do. Let's see if he has another counter spell. Because he is getting stronger. Alright, has a Lightning Strike. In this case we will still get rid of the Enigma Drake. And let's see what our opponent is up to. Okay. Has the Champion of Wits, draws some cards. He does know that we have an Italy Primal Storm, so I just have to hope that he doesn't have an Essence Scatter, number 2. Got rid of an Enigma Drake and a Cryptic Serpent. Okay, so let's instead go for the Vizier. And then say go. Let's go ahead and attack. See if our opponent will block and have some other tricks. No, nothing so far. So I'm still not going to be playing out Italy. Just going to go with the Raging Raptors and then end the turn. Because I want him to tap out before I cast Italy. Okay, pull from tomorrow for 3. 2 Enigma Drakes are already in the graveyard. Has another Enigma Drake, alright. And still leaves up enough for a counterspell. Alright, Magma Spray is excellent, since we can remove the Champion of Wits and prevent the Eternalize. So, let's see, this would mean full mana. Let's go ahead and attack with the Raging Raptors only. See if he blocks. Right, he does block. Interesting. Let's go for the damage. Get another land. Let's get a forest this time. Then we cast Abrade. He's probably going to counter it. No, he's not going to counter it. Okay. See if he counters this. Alright. Lightning strikes his own Champion of Wits. That's fine. That's already 3 Enigma Drakes in the graveyard, which are one of the main win conditions in the deck. So I'm totally fine with that. Let's see, we have 4, we have 7, so 5 and 2 is 7 exactly. Let's play out the Jova. Alright, let's play out the Monstrous Hour, see if it will get counted. Alright, it does get counted. So we're just going to attack for 4 this turn. Our opponent has 4 cards in his hand. And nothing else. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the Wayward Swartooth. Let's see if this one gets counted. Has a Magma Spray. Okay. Fair enough. Let's go ahead and attack. Our opponent is down to 9. He's going to draw 2 more, that's fine. Can now eternalize his Champion of Wits, if I remember correctly, so yeah, he's got enough to cast it all. But instead opts for an Hour of Devastation. Okay. Has 2 mana available, and the question is, does he have a counterspell here? That's the question. Or does he have removal? He uses the opt. That's fine. Let's see if he has a way to deal with the tally. Cast the Champion of Wits. Draws 4 cards, discards 2. Still, that means that we'll be able to attack with our tally, and if we have any luck, we'll be able to do something about it, and hope that our opponent doesn't have another Magma Spray to get rid of our tally. Let's use the Hashep Oasis as well. Just in case he has a Magma Spray. To force him to block. Otherwise he could have taken the damage and then re-eternalized the Champion of Wits. Okay, we need just one. I guess the Raging Swortooth is what we need. He has to block now. And then we end the turn. So now he must have an answer to both of those dinosaurs, and it's not really easy in such a deck. So let's see if he has another Hour of Devastation. Oh well, he draws some additional cards. Having lots of Champion of Wits is definitely a good thing. Unfortunately, that leaves him in a very interesting position. Our Tally is still getting the triggers. So let's go ahead and attack. See if our Tally is going to grant us something good. Alright. A Combat Celebrant is nice. This is from our deck, I suppose. Does he have removal for a Tally? That is the question. Yes, he did have the Magma Spray, it seems. Or at least he has it now. And the question remains, does he have another Hour of Devastation to clear the board? Because in those colors, that's the only spell that really allows him to clean it up completely. Let's see if that's indeed the case. Supreme Will, he is going to search his library for a card. Alright, does he have the removal for the Swortooth? It seems not, and it's our victory. Okay, we are going first. Let's keep this hand. We have two colors, an Explorer, a way to cast more lands if we get any. Let's start off with the Desert. That comes into play tapped. Our opponent answers with white and Allegiance Landing, so this might be a Vampire deck or some sort of aggressive mono-white deck. In this case, let's go for the Branch Walker, Explore, and I think that Raging Raptors are exactly what we need. Alright, let's see if it's mono-white or not. Cartouche of Solidarity. Okay, has First Strike, so we are not going to be blocking this. It does look more like mono-white aggro. That being said, let's go ahead and cast the Raging Raptors. We are not going to be attacking. And let's see if our opponent is going to attack. We are right now in a survival mode. So let's see. Anoint a Priest, that is fine. 1 green, he's not going to attack. This is some really good news for us. We can go for the Branch Walker. And we were able to draw a land, that's excellent. And we can Savage Stomp his Vampire. That is going to gain him life, of course. But that also allows us to search for a mountain, let's say. And we are... Do we attack? Or do we wait? That is the big question. Let's say we attack. If he trades 2 for 1, I definitely won't mind. This also allows us to thin out our deck a bit more. Okay, so Anoint a Priest. That seems reasonable. Because our Raging Swortooth is coming for our opponent. Even if he doesn't bomb the priest, has an Orchestra. Alright. So cannot attack or block because he doesn't have 3 other creatures. This means we get to attack this turn if we would like to. She is also indestructible. Let's see, we can cast both of these. I think I still want to trade our Branch Walker, since our Swortooth is going to be of help anyway. Let's go ahead and do this. Alright. Trades with the cat. We've got the Needletooth Raptor and the Swortooth, and we've got the City's Blessing as well. And if he does populate the board, we have the Raging Swortooth to clear it out, at least a little. So let's see. What does our opponent do? 2 colorless, 1 green, a Pride Sovereign. Alright. And on bombs. Okay. Doesn't do anything else, and I think that might be a small mistake. Because with the damage that we have here, our Needletooth Raptor allows us to get rid of the Pride Sovereign and get in for some decent damage here, leaving our opponent at 8 only. Queen's Commission is going to create 2 tokens, but it still doesn't allow our opponent to enable Orchestra, and it's our victory. Our opening hand looks okay. We are going first, so we can play out the Timbergorge into a Drover and see if our opponent has removal to prevent us from ramping into our other spells. Mountain from the opponent. So let's see if he has any removal on his turn. If not, then our next spell is probably going to be the Forerunner of the Empire, to search our library for another dinosaur. Okay. Human. And a Drover. Extremely interesting. Now I still think we're going to go for the Forerunner. Let's take action. Which dinosaur do we want? We do have the Raging Swortooth, so this will be able to deal with most of the humans. I really feel like we need the Raging Raptors in order to ramp ourselves. Okay. A Thunderherd Migration for its full cost, so not going to show us if our opponent does have any of them. Dinosaurs. Now I still think I want to use the Magma Spray, so do you want to just attack for 4 or Magma Spray? Oh, I think we can just deal 1 damage to the creatures, yeah. That would be most excellent. Let's take a forest. And let's go ahead and attack our opponent for 4. Our opponent is now at 5 lands, so let's see if anything scary is going to come out. Alright, Carnage Tyrant certainly qualifies, but our opponent won't be able to cast it out just yet. Has an Abrade, that's fine. So we could go for the Raging Swortooth to draw an additional land, or we can go for the Thunderherd Migration, but I feel like we need to increase our current mana proposition. Let's get another forest. Attack our opponent for 2. Okay, a draw of the Mighty means that our opponent won't be able to cast the Carnage Tyrant at the moment. We can go for the Savage Stomp on our Swortooth to get rid of the Drover and to be able to contend with the Tyrant. Yeah, I actually don't hate it that much. I could also go for the Ranging Raptors, but I want to be able to attack with my Glorybringer this turn as well. So let's go ahead and get rid of the Drover. Cast out the Glorybringer. Attack with all without exerting the Glorybringer. And that leaves our opponent at 2. So chances are we've won the game. Alright, we are going first. We've only got really expensive spells, but we do have the Thunderherd Migration. And we do have the 2 colors, so I think I'm willing to just go ahead and play this kind of hand. We're going to play the tap land first. Our opponent has white and blue, okay. So the question now is, do we go for the Branch Walker or the Migration? I would say let's go for the Migration, because this way we can just unconditionally, let's show the Charging Monsters Hour in the middle. Let's see, we have two green anyway, so let's get another red. Okay. Strategic planning, interesting. This might be an approach deck. And also gets rid of a negate. Alright. Let's play out the Branch Walker. See if it's going to be a land or not. Judging from what our opponent plays, I think that the Needletooth Raptor is not going to be that interesting. Let's put it into the graveyard. If I suspect correctly, of course, but let's see. Let's see what our opponent does. He might have an Essence Scatter for our Monsters Hour. Instead it's a cat, so this might be an Embalm deck. Interesting. In any case, he is tapped out. Strategic planning and no Glacial Fortresses. So, Glacial Fortresses. It's actually quite nice that he has them. So, let's go ahead and go for the Charging Monsters Hour we had shown to our opponent. We're going to be attacking for 8. And we have one more in store, should we need to. Let's see if he has something like an Axonal's Binding. Alright, a Compulsory Arrest also works. He's going to attack for 1, that's fine. So, let's just hope that he doesn't have an Essence Scatter. In any case, we do have to play out something, and he is going to be able to counter it. Nevertheless, our opponent is down to 10, so that's not a very good position to be in. Okay, has an Angel of Sanctions. This is fine because we still have a tally into Savage Stomp, or we could go for a Brontodon. However, it looks like we can just play out a tally. Yeah, I think I'm willing to just play it out since he's tapped out and doesn't have counter spells. So let's see if he has something like an Excellence Binding. And we would need one more forest to be able to cast the Thrashing Brontodon, then Savage Stomp the Angel of Sanctions, and then sacrifice it against an Excellence Binding. That's pretty interesting. I'm not going to block. Just going to take 4, because he might have some sort of token strategy. Alright, has an exile effect right here, and that is fine, because we have the Excellence Binding. Let's just sacrifice Brontodon on the cast out. This way we get back our tally. Just going to say go. Hope that he doesn't have another removal for our tally. And really hope that he doesn't have the Settle the Wreckage that exiles all the cards that attack him. We'll just find out soon enough, I guess. Okay. Attacks, do we lightning strike? I guess we do. Let's go for the Wayward Swordtooth. Then let's get rid of the Angel of Sanctions. The Combat Celebrant is not too bad. And I think I do want to keep my Monstrous Hour here for now, although we do have the City's Blessing, so no real need to do this. Can he embalm? He needs 6 for this. Yep, he can embalm. Just how many rests does he have? Seriously. This freaking sucks. Alright, here comes the Celebrant. Let's wait for our opponent to embalm the Angel of Sanctions and take it. Instead it's going to be the Priest. Alright, he can gain some life off of this. Let's go ahead and get the Raging Raptors. I'm not going to attack this turn. Okay, embalms the Angel of Sanctions. Gets the Raging Raptors. Alright. And he can embalm his cat as well, if he would wish to do so. This is the deck where I would want to play many more Thrashing Brontodons. Our opponent has spent a lot of removal though, so I guess we're just waiting to see if we can get something relevant that will allow us to get rid of the Angel of Sanctions. Looks not. And I think I'm just going to end the turn. And it looks like it's a good game very soon. Guess I'll have to do this. He embalms it back. But yeah, more or less good game. Okay, we are going first. We've got 4 lands and a Thunderherd Migration. But let's skip this hand and see if we'll be able to draw into relevant things we need. Hopefully we won't get mana flooded. Another Timber Gorge, so let's go for a mountain, a Thunderherd Migration, and show our Ranging Raptors. Which land are we going to get? Yeah, we have enough red for now, so let's go ahead and just grab another forest. Our opponent has Droval of the Mighty, and we still don't have the removal. Okay, so we can go for Ranging Raptor this turn, or we can go for the Vizier. Vizier has 4 toughness, and let's hope our opponent doesn't have removal for it, and just play it out. Alright, a Needletooth Raptor. Alright. What this means is that we have to go for the Timber Gorge. Let's see. When it's dealt damage. So he does have removal, in essence. Question is, do we go for the Ranging Raptors, or do we Savage Stomp like this? If we go for the Ranging Raptors, then he'll be able to get our Vizier, but then we'll draw an additional land. Let's say we go for it like this. And yes, he's going to get rid of my Vizier, but that was going to happen anyway. Let's get ourselves a forest. Okay. The fact that we didn't have any removal in hand was not very pleasant. Alright, we get to draw another land. That in itself is not too bad. I'd say let's go for a tally. And I think I'm not going to use the desert as a land. I'm going to use it for its cycling cost to draw an additional card. And I hope that I can get something good out of a tally when I attack next turn. Even though this means that we'll have to sacrifice it for Raging Swortooth. Oh well. Looks like our opponent is really drawing every little thing he needs, which is a pity. And this dual shot is just going to be pure value. Draws 2 cards for our opponent. We hit our opponent and then play out our Tyrant, and then say go. And hope that he didn't draw into something extremely special and bad for us. That is able to take out the Tyrant. Another Drover is not a problem. Let's see which card he's going to pull. It's going to be a Mountain. Interesting. Let's go ahead and cycle away the desert. Not really what I was looking for. Let's say go. Alright. Raging Swords is fine, and it also allows us to draw an additional land, so let's go for an Evolving Wilds first. Get ourselves a forest. Draw another mountain. Thin out our deck a little bit. Alright, our opponent has a Savage Stomp, which means that we will be able to get another land out. Attacks for 3. Wow. Question is, do we trade? Do we trade or not? We will get him for 1 damage. So yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Let's end the turn. Our opponent has just 1 card, and the question is, what kind of card is this? I'm going to take 1 damage. I don't want to waste my lightning strike on this. And let's see if one of our charging Monstrosaurs is in. It's not. Okay, a Forerunner is good. Let's just let our opponent play out one of his 2 cards. Gift of Paradise allows him to gain 3 life. That's fine. Alright. We've got our Forerunner. So let's take action. Let's get our charging Monstrosaur. And then attack our opponent. He's going to take 3. Alright. Let's end the turn. Alright. Let's go to our turn. Do we want to deal 1 damage to each creature? To spice it all up? Yeah, I think we do. This way we can get rid of his Regisaur. He is going to draw a card off of it. So it's likely going to be a good game. I want to thank you for watching and see you in the next video.